All right, good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to this regular called meeting of the Temple City Council. It is currently 5 p.m. Please rise as Pastor Robert Beeman leads us in the invocation, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge led by City Secretary Jana Lou Elson.
Get the second page.
Okay.
Okay, if we bow our heads and pray, please. Father, we do thank you for who you are. We thank you, God, for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon each and every one of us that's gathered here. We ask you, God, that you will lead us and guide us what needs to be done, not only, God, but we're here to your understanding, God, and not to our own. We ask you, God, that you would, God, be with us in everything that we do. Not only that, Father, we ask you, God, that you would just rain down your love, peace, and love, peace, and sunshine on us as we gather here today. We ask you, God, that we would leave, God, in a peaceful spirit. And we ask for, God, peace to be up in this place. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Please join me in the Texas Pledge.
Honor the Texas flag.
Work on that one.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. All right, now it's time for public comment. Citizens who wish to address the council on any matter may do so as long as you've signed up prior to this meeting. Please know that, that no final discussion or decisions will be made. We also ask that you keep your comments to no more than 3 minutes. I have a bell up here like we did last time, and when you get to about 2.5 minutes or so, I'll ding the bell to give you a warning that time's about up. So we will start with Mr. Jeff Stiegel.
Thank you, Mayor. In 1983 at Bonham Middle School, I remember one of our guys on the 7th grade B team took off his helmet and he started yelling bad things at the players on the Killeen team after we beat them in a game. Coach Herman Anderson, he spoke to us after the game and he said to us, he said that no team that he coached would ever reflect that lack of character again. At first, we didn't understand completely what he was saying because we had won the game. But he punished us through the next week, and he taught us, and we learned a hard lesson, the most difficult of ways: character matters. I remember in Temple High in 1987, the soccer team got to play on Wildcat Field. And during the game, one of our players got so upset, and he took off his Wildcat jersey and he threw it on the field and he stormed off during the game. Our coach explained to us after the game that that player would never wear white and blue again because he did not understand the importance of character. And it was not acceptable for a Temple Wildcat player to act the way he did. He told us this, and I will not forget this: we were not free to say and do whatever we wanted because we represented more than just ourselves. We represented the Temple community and many that had come before us, and we were disgracing them and all that they had done before us. When I think of Temple in my life, here is the single thing I will come back to time and time again: is character. And holding each other to the highest of standards. That's what we do in Temple, and that's what our community prides itself in. With that being said, I come before this room with a troubled heart and a very disturbed spirit. I've never spoken like this before, and I hope to never speak like this again. But I feel I must. For complete transparency in this room, so everybody hears this, I do not know with certainty where exactly I stand on the issues of data centers in Temple. But I do know with 100% complete certainty that the personal and vicious attacks on these council members and their families and their children is completely wrong. I've seen the Facebook posts. I've watched the videos of adults speaking profanity in this council room. I've seen the text. I've seen the vicious personal attacks and the hate that is spewed upon these council members, and this has no place in this town. Character matters.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Jose Martinez. On deck is Carolyn Riley. Miss Riley, you're next. If you'll, oh, you're close enough.
One thing that I've noticed, and I think some of you have also, is that it seems as though there are 8 data centers that are being built or proposed here. That's basically, in a word, total nonsense. It's more than Britain, China, and Japan together in the last 3 months that they have built data centers. China, 1 data center in the last 3 months. So there's no issue of security, as you're often told, of China and whatnot. In fact, China has 4 times the population of the US. So basically, the idea in terms of what's going on, in case anyone is wondering, is money. It's that simple. It's not all these nebulous types of things overall. And the idea overall in many businesses is to move fast and break things, which is exactly what is happening here, no matter what. Running roughshod or whatever. They're not needed. Investors are getting nervous. Because half the data centers are being banned or canceled. Hill County Commissioner was called at 10 o'clock to change his vote. They still paused the data center there. $64 billion have been blocked so far. The AI, as it is called now, is a con and scam, basically, a bubble. And like the dot-com crash of 30 years ago as well. So this is coming. It's already been predicted. In fact, some individuals have pointed that out today, some of the main business folks overall. So therefore, what is needed, what is being done here, what you're hearing and whatnot and all, is PR, public relations. Here at an elementary school of all things, data center individual going to an elementary school, crumbs to charities here from data centers. There's an organization called Forge the Future, $4 million to Republicans, $2 million to Abbott, targeting red Republican voting areas here. This is what that is. In case you're wondering, you're being targeted. Everyone here, you voted red, Abbott is targeting you because he thinks that you're not going to say much of anything. He's wrong. Lott, which is a Republican, and all Republican individuals are instead saying otherwise. It's only a couple of miles from here overall. Now there are what are called, and might even be here, in this room even, what are called community engagement leaders, paid $236,000 to fool the communities. Just one or two other things. As you know, the Texas Ag Commissioner said that there should be a moratorium on data centers. 98% in Utah oppose the data centers. They don't want them. They refer to them as parasites overall. $25 billion in health care costs, and they don't bring the money. Temple realtors are not interested in this. They're not going to buy homes, by the way. The construction workers aren't. Only a few are. And by a few, I mean the janitors, security individuals, those types. The few overall. So basically what I would suggest is that the mayor
Jose,
and
your
city
time's up.
council, that they listen to since they listen to the data centers, you should resign. You don't listen to the residents. You do not. Don't pretend you do.
Ms. Riley?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just here because I want to make sure you guys don't forget about me from the last time when I talked about trying to get back into my home with the grant program. It was mentioned to me a couple of days ago, or last week, that the focus is on a data center, and I'm not going to tell you what I exactly said, but in reference, I don't give a crap about the data center. I want my home. I mean, it's good, bad, both ways, but all I want is to get back in my house. That's all I'm asking. So I don't want y'all to forget me, and I'll be back next time. And I'm not going over.
Thank you. Did someone sign in CRE News? I don't know if sometimes people accidentally sign in, they signed in when they didn't have to. Oh, there you go, okay.
Yeah, I am CRE News, Citizens' Eyes on Government. I do live here in Temple. My discussion today is Temple City Council and honorable citizens. I will speak about the legitimate purpose of government. Under constitutional principles, the people are considered the ultimate source of sovereign power. And the government derives its legitimacy through the consent of the governed. The Texas Constitution, Article 1, Bill of Rights, Section 2, inherit political power, Republican form of government. All political power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority. An institution for the benefit. The faith of the people of Texas stand pledged to this limitation only. The people at all times have the inalienable right to alter, reform, or abolish their government in such a manner as they may think expedient. Texas Constitution, February 15th, 1876. The Texas Constitution is the response to your post, Mr. Emmons. Citizens of Temple are legal in their endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Andrea Schooley. Is that right? Is Andrea here? Yes. And then Sarah Royer, you're on deck.
How y'all doing? I'm here to address the situation. I didn't know anything about the data center until I started seeing them pop up. On the east south end of Temple, where y'all got the big data center, get ready to go be developed. My family lives out that way. My family lives out that way. I have a twin. She's suffering from cancer. Y'all start putting in all those solar panels out there. Y'all took up all the cornfields and stuff, all the land out there. You start having these little secret entryways into this big old spot where y'all building this data center. And I used to ride that country road all the time and feel God's presence in that area all the time. Now I feel the eeriness in that area as I go through there, seeing how the roads are being demolished, seeing how it's going to impact us with this water, with these data centers, seeing things being built and then taken down and other stuff being coming up. So my thing is, what is the purpose for the data centers? Because it's going to impact those who are in need. We have a bridge on South 24th Street that has not been repaired. People who live in that area is going to be impacted should anything go on with these data centers or anything else. They cannot get out of this area. We have limited exits on South 24th Street. Now, This is going to impact us in the black community, which was a black community, but not is no longer because things are being changed. So what I'm saying is, when y'all had this plan come up prior to this, that data center was not part of that plan. I went to the meeting. It's new now. So now I'm going to ask the question is, why y'all not focusing on what's important in the black community to make sure that our citizens get out safely when y'all focusing on these data centers, when we don't, and then we're going to lose water and everything else, why y'all not focusing on those things are the most important? I didn't get no letter or any other information about anything coming up. But we are now in this place to where it's going to impact our health and everything else. And so now I just want questions and I want answers. Mayor, I've addressed you before. It's not new to you. I've addressed you before at one of these city council meetings, and I'm addressing you again because you make the decisions with this board. So I want to know, what are y'all going to do, and when are y'all going to fix that bridge and make sure that people on the east side is safe? So when we get ready to exit out, because there are going to be some things going to happen in Temple. Y'all been warned. You're being warned again, and I'm not threatening nobody. God is warning, and I'm just going to let it be known where I stand concerning these data centers. So
Very
thank you.
good. I can address the bridge. The repair of the bridge is slated for the upcoming budget. We've had a few conversations about that, and that the anticipation is that'll be taken care of in the next year or so. Do you know what time next year, sir? Not yet. We haven't adopted the budget. So Sarah Royer, and then Joe is on deck.
I'm Sarah Royer. I live here in Temple. There was conversation earlier about doing things correctly and having a high standard. And that's the only reason we've been here from the very beginning, since February 20th, is that we asked for impact reports and baseline testing to make sure we did this correctly with sustainable growth. You bypassed all of our efforts and wouldn't allow us to get that as citizens. We've all already invested here. All of us. We've bought homes, we've made businesses, we live here with our children, with our grandchildren. This is what we call a community. And for a handful of people to change what that community looks like, it's appalling. It is. I'm not sure what children have been brought up into this. If you're talking about the adults who have benefited from this, they're not children anymore. I don't know what you're referencing because I'm not on Facebook all the time, but we have gone out and talked to churches all around who don't have an option here. Beautiful farmland that's going to be destroyed. We've talked to a lot of people who don't have a voice. You guys annex land, but not the people, not right next to them. So these people who live right next to them, and I know it's annexed by choice, right? The people are right next there to them who built their forever homes don't have a voice in this, and they're begging us to stand up in their stead. I don't understand. The NAACP is against data centers and against hurting back black communities, and I don't know why you're not standing up for that, Zoe. I have no idea why you wouldn't stand up for your people that you choose to represent. Me, her. It's just very disappointing. If you don't want people's names called out, don't be the ones making the decisions. And the reason why it's so challenging is because they told us to do homework on this. And so we did. We're like, how are 6 people destroying our town? And when we looked at it, we realized, oh, well, their son also made the decision, and their nephew also made the decision, and their uncle also made the decision. And when you see who's on all these committees, it's disheartening, because I've stuck up for them for months. And then when they told us to do homework and we found out who was making these decisions, it gut punched all of us. And there's just a few of them up here that are responsible for that. But that's where we are, and that's who we're talking for, and that's who we will continue to keep speaking for, the people you are not allowing to have a decision in the way our community is formed. We invested in the way Temple was, not in what you're trying to create. This should be criminal.
Cassandra Sandman, you'll be on deck.
I'm Joe Royer. I live in District 2, and I'm sure everyone's heard by now that the recall effort fell short. So democracy says that we have to keep working with you until we don't. And tonight on the agenda is a second reading of the economic development policy that I suspect you're all going to vote yes on. And I would like to call out once again that I personally don't think it's right. I know I say we a lot, but I personally don't think it's right that we give billionaires or rich people a pass. It is actually written in the economic development policy that if someone spends more than $250 million, the rules don't apply to them. You actually put that in writing. And it's not to say that they're putting $250 million into our community. It's to say they're spending $250 million near us in the hopes that some of that tax revenue might leak onto us. This is not benefiting our community in any way. We might get a couple of scraps here and there just because they happen to be near us. But to say if you spend enough money, then our rules just don't apply to you? Like, how on earth could any reasonable person approve this? And I realize in this country, in this day and age, sadly, with the laws that have been passed, there is now a huge gap between unethical and illegal, making it very hard for us to stop things that any reasonable person would call unethical. And yet, I suspect you're all going to vote unanimously to pass this anyway. I just want it in the record that it's actually stated in there. Rich people don't have to follow the rules. Like, why are you representing the billionaires instead of representing Temple? As Mr. Martinez so beautifully put, if you can't represent the people, which is kind of your job, then please just resign. We'll find somebody who can.
Thank you.
Mayor, council members, thank you for your time. I go by Casey. I live here in Temple. I've lived here for about 10 years. I've seen a lot of growth. I've loved a lot of the growth that I've seen. I'm not saying y'all done an awful job. I'm saying y'all done a good job. But there are things now that the state, y'all are part of that. We're a county in that state. Tom Green, Hill County. I want it to be Bell County too, that stands up against these data centers, these billionaires coming in with all their money. And it's very disheartening to us to see what we think might be everybody's being bought by them because they have the money. And we're the people. We're who you are supposed to be representing. We are neighbors, helping neighbors, because y'all aren't doing it for us. And I just implore each of you to please give it more thought on what your decisions will be going forward and thinking of us. Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next item is, item number 3 is to receive recognition for the City of Temple Water Treatment Plant from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, recognizing 1 year of successful participation in the Texas Optimization Program. Hey.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here this evening. My name is Mason T. Miller. I'm with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. I'm in the Water Supply Division out of Austin, Texas. I'm here to celebrate a monumental first year for the water treatment plant here in Temple and to recognize the operators and the council for a good, hard year of work to meet these criteria. So I want to go over something real quickly. I don't want to take up all of your time this evening. The Texas Optimization Program helps surface water treatment plants do the best job they can of removing potential pathogens, which are disease-causing organisms, from the surface water they use to produce drinking water. A system that meets the recognition criteria ensures that increased public health protection, and the TCEQ recognizes them for the significant achievement through the recognition program. Recognition criteria were set by the stakeholders in Texas, including utilities and regulators. To receive a recognition award, a plan must continuously meet all the following criteria for 12 consecutive months. And I just want to touch on a few of these numbers, which are way above and beyond the minimum requirements that the state of Texas requires the water systems to meet. None of the filtered water turbidity readings from any of the filters can be above 0.549 NTU, which is a measurement of turbidity when I say NTU. At least 99% of the filter water turbidity readings from each individual filter must have a turbidity of less than 0.349 NTU or less. At least 90% of the filtered water turbidity readings from each individual filter must have a turbidity of less than 0.149 NTU. So we're getting very low numbers here. And at least 95% of the total number of filtered water turbidity readings must be less than 0.149 NTU or less. The filtered water turbidity must not exceed 0.349 during backwash, and the filtered water turbidity must drop below 0.149 NTU or lower within 30 minutes of returning a filter to service. The one that really stands out is the first one. None of the filtered water turbidity readings from any of the filters can be above 0.549 NTU. So the requirement is 2.0, nothing above 2.0. But for this recognition program, 0.549 is very low. So I want to read the plaque. The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality issues the Texas Optimization Program Recognition Award to the City of Temple Conventional Water Treatment Plant. The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality recognizes the City of Temple's commitment to the goals of the optimization program and the efforts to improve the quality of the drinking water it provides to its customers. The City of Temple Conventional Water Treatment Plant has met the optimization recognition criteria for 12 consecutive months, and therefore the TCEQ issues this recognition award for the period from May 2025 through April 2026. Colton, if you could come up, please. And as part of as one of the gifts that we bring also, we have a flag that they can proudly fly at their plant.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Out of curiosity, how many water systems have that? Yeah, maybe brag on us a little more.
So I was asked how many plants are participating in the program. That's a really good question. Sometimes I cover that. So this is for conventional water treatment plants only. So membrane plants, which they have out there, is not a member of this program. There's roughly 285 conventional water treatments in the state of Texas. There are some that are meeting the program, which is 22 right now. There's some that don't want to participate, and there's a bunch that just flat can't meet the program requirements. But right now, we have 22. Temple just got started a few years ago, and so we waited. You have to make 12 consecutive months to get started. So that's where we're at, 22. And it's top 7%.
Way to go, guys.
So, Kenton, I know what turbidity means because I looked it up. But could you explain what that means and what significance that has?
Yeah, turbidity is like the particles that might be suspended in the water, and those particles can hide contagions and things like that. So you want to get that out of there so that the water is as safe as possible. So So we treated to basically it's 4 times harder to meet that limit in the TOPS program than it is for just a normal limit. It's at 2, and then we're at 0.5, so it's pretty difficult. So I just wanted to thank everybody. Colton and his team have been working at this, and they're just a really great group of people. Some of the best people you're going to meet. They really take pride and they care about this. And so I'm really proud of them for it. I don't know, I'm getting choked up. I'm a little embarrassed about that. But anyways.
It's a big deal.
But we appreciate council's support. We couldn't have done it without you. We have to have water to treat, and I know that we take the water resources very seriously. We plan ahead in a very proactive manner, and I'm grateful for that. I get to see a lot of that, what I'm doing. So I just want to thank Colton and his staff. They're just incredible people, and I'm proud to be a part of their team. So thank you all.
Congratulations. Good work. Good work. Very good. Congratulations. Moving on to item 4. Item 4 is a public hearing. We're going to conduct a public hearing for the proposed amendment to the Community Development Block Grant 2025 through 2029 Consolidated Plan and the 2025 Annual Action Plan, including an application requesting financial assistance under Section 108 Loan Guarantee Program administered by HUD as part of the CDBG program. Ms. Chopin.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brittany Chopin, Community Enhancement Division Director with the Housing and Community Services Department. I'm here to present the substantial amendment to the 2025-2029 Annual Consolidated Plan and the FY26 Annual Action Plan. To give everyone an overview, in 1974, Congress created the Housing and Community Development Act. Title I of this act authorizes the creation of CDBG, also known as Community Development Block Grant, which must serve predominantly low to moderate income households. Temple receives Community Development Block Grant funds from U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development on an annual basis. So as a recipient of the funds, we are required to produce a consolidated plan which outlines our goals and activities undertaken for a period of 5 years. This also includes a citizen participation plan and a fair housing plan. In addition, each year we are required to develop an annual action plan that supports the consolidated plan and address our programs for the upcoming year. Our overall goal, we must meet at least one or more of the 3 national objectives, which are benefiting low to moderate income persons, preventing, reducing, or eliminating slum and blight, and meeting an urgent community development need. We are required by HUD to complete a consolidated plan process, which involves stakeholder consultation, housing and homeless needs assessment, housing marketing analysis, strategic plan, priorities, neighborhood revitalization strategy area establishment, and the annual action plan, which this was completed last year. These are the goals that were identified within the consolidated planning process, which includes homeless prevention services, public services, planning and administration, and so forth. So the substantial amendment, it basically any transfer of funds over 25% of our annual allocation, we are required to do the substantial amendment process, which allows citizens to comment on the changes that we seek to make. Here are the details of the substantial amendment. So we are requesting approval to apply for financial assistance under the Section 108 Loan Guarantee Program. In addition, we intend to apply for approximately $3.7 million under the Section 108 Loan Guarantee Program in support of the Little Flock Community Project, which will fund public infrastructure improvements, including design services, utilities, roadway, and other site improvements. We do have description of the project and budget on public display online, City Library, City Secretary's Office, and the Patsy Luna building. So the city, we can receive up to 5 times our most recent CDBG allocation. We have a repayment for 20 years using our CDBG funding only of about $279,000 a year of our annual CDBG allocation. So we will accomplish all of our other programs while servicing this debt. We'll still do our normal housing improvement program, planning, administration, and so forth. This will not impact public tax dollars. Here is a conceptual plan of the Little Flock Community Project, designed by KPA, which will include transitional homes, tiny homes, restroom and kitchen, a community center / intake, and pet boarding. We will have privacy fencing around and gate gated entry and exits. So here's the Section 108 items, expenses that are eligible under the loan, which includes earthwork, utilities, roadway and parking, site lighting, landscape, contingency, and consulting and architect fees. Again, this is 3.7 as the max loan amount, but the total project overall will be around 6.136 in 210. We have other funding sources identified to support the restroom, kitchen buildings, community center building, Pale Shelter, and tiny homes. Here's our plan adoption schedule. Again, we do have this on public display at the locations identified here. Our public comment period began on April 28th and will end on May 27th. We have a second public hearing and proposed adoption on June 4th, and we plan to submit the application and the amended consolidated plan and annual action plan to HUD on June 11th. And that's it.
Thank you, ma'am. That's an exciting program. Looking forward to that beginning in earnest. It's great work. Council, anybody have anything for Ms. Chopin? Okay, very good.
Public hearing.
Yep, I know, thank you. If you hadn't reminded me, Alan would have. This item is subject to a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this may do so. We just ask you step to the podium and state your name for the record. You're up, Alan.
Alan Lila, I live here in Temple, and I do this every year. This is a fantastic program. We're just not supporting it enough. We need to find some place to get more money. Thank you.
We've told the federal government that every year for the last 50 years. No, not yet, but we'll keep trying.
There's a lot of grassroots funding going on right now. I know Feed My Sheep just had their event the other day, really generated a lot of money. And Leadership Temple class, they used their project funding to build a tiny home.
Hello, Council. Nicholas Stone, District 4. Great to see you all today. I kind of wanted to reflect what Mr. Lyle just said. CBDG. I always mess up the acronym. It's a great program.
Community Development Block Grant.
CDBG. All right, great. But no, it is a great program. Great improvements for our community. There was just one issue I did kind of want to highlight. I am very excited for the Little Flock community, but as we continue in this program, I do want to encourage the city to really focus on both multifamily housing and public transportation. Actually, even looking through your community block grant, over 66, if I remember the number correctly, or at least 65% of our housing is single unit or one unit detached. Which would be exactly a tiny home. It's, for one single family, detached from other structures. While tiny homes are great and are obviously much more affordable than other kinds of housing, this is a kind of housing that we have a lot of in Temple already. What we have a severe lack of in Temple is multifamily housing for multiple families. Now I know, especially Temple being a small town, there is a lot of pressure to keep that small town atmosphere. And so people hear multifamily, they think of big apartment buildings, big towers, and they immediately balk at it. Well, there are many solutions that would perfectly fit the character of Temple. We have many small apartment buildings dotted throughout that, unless you're driving down the street, you don't even see them. They're not more than, a couple floors. But these provide much more housing in the same footprint on the property than, an equivalent amount of tiny homes. So considering that, the homelessness is a serious issue that we have been trying to address, and the fact that we do already have an abundance of single unit homes, I believe that we should, as this project continues, should seriously look into multifamily housing. I think that will have a greater impact for a larger amount of people in the same footprint. And then additionally on that note, public transportation. So the HOP did switch to a microtransit system Temple does not have a comprehensive public transportation system. And I know that's something the council's very aware of, and I know the council unfortunately is also aware of the cost of public transportation. Unfortunately, it's not something that usually makes money on the budget. It tends to cost, and so I understand that can be very difficult when we're looking for things to balance. But it is something that also greatly, affects our communities, and I think is a significant barrier to people's upwards mobility. If we want to move people out of these lower income brackets, they need access to opportunities. If I'm living far out in East Temple and I don't have a reliable car, I don't have access to opportunities. They are just not there. So to support these communities, especially again as this project continues, we should look into possibly adding some form of public transportation to help support our residents in the more remote areas. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to, my name is Nancy Glover, and I'm with Feed My Sheep, your nonprofit partner for this project. Just wanted to thank you for bringing this forward and just starting the ball rolling, or keeping the ball rolling. We've got a lot of people that are desperately in need of housing, and this would really move that needle forward. But also just wanted to thank you for all that you do. I know that you all have a heart for service for the people that we serve, and they also know it. You guys are out there and you're seen, and we just really appreciate all of your support. Bryn, Tracy, all of city leadership, we just really appreciate your support with this, and just know that we're here to do whatever is needed as the project continues to move forward. But thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Who else? You missed it. Okay. Sorry. Yep. This is a public hearing on a specific item. All right. If we don't have anybody here to speak anymore on the public hearing, I will consider the public hearing closed. No, ma'am. Moving on to item 5 is a bond item. That's to consider adopting a resolution authorizing proceeding with the issuance of the City of Temple, Texas Combination Tax and Revenue Certificates of Obligation, Series 2026, in a maximum principal amount not to exceed $17,500,000, and further directing the publication of notice of intent to issue certificates of obligation and other matters related to that issuance. Ms. Bernard.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This item before you, the resolution, as you read, it's directing publication for notice of intent to issue to the state maximum. Will list the maximum amount and purpose of the issue, manner in which the COs will be paid, the time and place of ordinance authorizing the issue, and this resolution also authorizes the Director of Finance, Financial Advisor, and Bond Counsel to prepare the necessary bond and offering documents and to effectuate the sale of the certificates, including making application to appropriate rating agencies. Just the time and place of the public hearing on the sale will be August 6th, 2026 at 5 p.m. The purpose of the use of the proceeds is for smart growth facilities and CIP. The not to exceed amount is $17.5 million. The payback source is INS tax pledge, and the term of the bonds will be for 20 years. Specifically, it's for the expansion of the land for the expansion of our landfill, and also land for the animal shelter expansion, and that totals the $17.5 million. Based on our preliminary tax roll, there will be no increase in the proposed interest and sinking tax rate for FY 2027. The debt service will be supported by ad valorem taxes. The average annual debt service is estimated to be little over 1.3 million. Future debt service is projected to be covered by growth in the tax base. Just a timeline again, tonight's a resolution directing the publication. The notice will run May 24th through the 31st. On June 22nd through the 29th, we'll have our meeting with the bond rating agencies. By July 23rd, we'll receive our bond rating, and then the first and final reading of the ordinance is scheduled for August 6th, and the actual closing on the COs would be August 26th. This is our financial advisor and bond counsel that will be helping us through on our bond documents and the sale of the bonds. And I'd be happy to address any questions you have related to that issue.
Thank you, Tracy. Council, anything for Ms. Bernard? I know we've talked about this at length at workshops, et cetera. May have any questions? All right. This is our first item that's subject to a vote. So, council, I'll entertain a motion on item number 5.
Make a motion to approve item 5.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Walker. We have a second by Councilmember Grant. Council, please cast your vote. Item 5 passes 5 votes to 0. Item 6 is a consent agenda. All items under this section are to be considered routine by the City Council and may be enacted by one motion. If discussion is desired by any council member, that council member can request that that item be pulled to be considered separately. Council, the consent agenda is item 6A through 6V. We are going to pull item 6S for some comments. So right now, council, I'll entertain a motion on item 6A through 6V minus 6S.
Approve consent agenda item 6A through 6V minus item 6S.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Pilkington. We have a second by Councilmember Grant. Council, please cast your vote. Item 6 minus item S on item 6 passes 5 votes to 0. Item S. Item S is to consider adopting a resolution appointing Charlotte Thomas as interim city attorney and setting compensation for that position. Ms. Davis?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, as you know, I told y'all back in October about my plans to retire this year, and then officially announced in January that I would be leaving, and tomorrow is my last working day. And to ensure the continuity of legal services and maintain the effective operation of the city's legal operations, we do need to appoint an interim city attorney. And Charlotte Thomas has served as deputy city attorney since 2015 and has, in that time and before, developed extensive institutional knowledge and experience in municipal law. During her tenure with the city, she has provided consistent, reliable legal counsel to city staff and city leadership, and has demonstrated a strong understanding of the city's operations, policies, and priorities. Appointing Ms. Thomas as interim city attorney will provide stability during this transition period while the city council conducts a search for a permanent city attorney. Her familiarity with the city's ongoing legal matters and her established working relationships with city departments will help ensure a seamless continuation of legal services. So Charlotte is standing there in the back. Of course, you all know her because she's been working hand in hand with me for the last 6.5 years. And there is no one that I feel more strongly about recommending to fill this interim role. I only wish that I could be recommending her to fill the permanent role because she would be fabulous at this job full-time, but unfortunately that's not a possibility. But so I wholeheartedly and very confidently recommend Charlotte Thomas to fill the interim role of city attorney.
Good. Thank you for that. Council, I will entertain a motion then on item S.
Mayor, I move to adopt item 6S.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Grant. We have a second by Councilmember Emmons. Council, please cast your vote. 6S passes 5 votes to 0. Charlotte, congratulations.
Congratulations.
I know that the council echoes Kathy's words about our confidence in you and doing the work. So we look forward to working with you in that additional capacity. So congratulations, and Kathy, thank you. 6.5 years just flies by. So thank you for the good work. We've been a very busy community, and whenever you're a busy community, legal gets their fair share of that work.
Absolutely.
So you guys have done a great job, and I personally, as the mayor and a friend, I want to thank you for the hard work that you've put in for all the residents of the city of Temple. Thank you very much.
Mayor, if I could, I would like to just say a few more words.
Sure.
And wasn't sure if I was going to say anything, so it's going to be a little more disjointed than I would have preferred, but I did just want to take a few minutes to talk about my time as a public servant and what I've learned over the past 30 years, and specifically in the last 6.5 years working with you guys. And first, I also want to say that these views are my own and do not reflect the views of the city of Temple. No, nothing bad, but I do just, it's the lawyer in me. It's my last day to be the city attorney, so, I have to start with that. So, but I've just been thinking a lot lately, and I've always been a person who likes the past. I like to think about the past. I like history, lover of museums. And I've always had a fascination with looking back in history. And, even as a child, I would keep my yearly calendars and I'd look back. What was I doing a year ago today, 5 years ago today, 10 years ago today? It's just been something I've always enjoyed doing. Of course, now they have apps for those. There's an app for everything. So that's one way I start my morning is looking back. What was I doing a year ago, several years ago? Anyway, but a couple of days ago, one memory popped up, and it was a memory with my daughter, who I think most of y'all know. She was a soccer player all the way until she graduated from high school. But there was a picture of her in her first day as a ref, and that was what she had wanted to do. She was 15, couldn't get a real job. She didn't drive yet, and so she had spent the time and the money taking the training, going through all the certifications, buying all of the equipment and the uniforms, and she was very excited about it. So she had her first game where she was, an official. And I don't know anyone who knows about soccer. You've got the main ref, who's the one on the field, runs back and forth. You've got the two on the side. So she was one of the two on the side, and unfortunately was placed on the side with the parents, which is always a rough spot. So I was there, again, because I had a driver, and it was a middle school girls game that she was refereeing. And she's a high school soccer player, so she knows the game. But the parents of one of the teams was really rough, and they were against every call that was made if it were against their girls. Like, you know how it can be, kids' sports can be rough. But they were really horrible towards these refs, my daughter including, and I had to just sit there and listen to it. To the point to where at one point you had two mothers of the middle school daughters starting to lead a chant, "We want men, we want men," because all the refs were women and girls, which is still just shocking to me, as these are mothers of middle school daughters chanting, "We want men." But anyway, and this will make sense in a minute. I will come back. I hear the sighs in the audience, but that's okay. I'm getting there. So after the game, how are you? And we talked it through, and she said, I don't want to do it again. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. And every year when that memory comes around, I get mad all over again. I can feel myself getting red because, of course, as her mother, it frustrates me that she had to go through that and I had to witness it. And also the irony, of course, of the parents who are complaining and who are the cause for her not wanting to referee again. You know, they're the ones who are complaining about the refs, but without realizing that their belittlement of the refs is what's causing what they're complaining about, if that makes sense, because who wants to do that anymore? There is a huge shortage, and that's the reason why. And that was the caption I had on that photo, actually. It said, "Watching my daughter referee her first soccer game and understanding why there is a shortage of refs." So why? I think about that. Why would anybody want to put themselves through it? What are they getting out of it? Are they getting money? Of course not. I mean, they're getting gas money, but that's it. They're not getting rich, that's for sure. Are they getting personal notoriety, personal gain? Of course not. Personal benefit for their jobs, their careers? No. I mean, they're doing it because they love kids and they love the sport, and they want to watch the sport grow that they love, and they want to be a part of it. And yes, of course, they're getting feelings of fulfillment, I guess, from doing that. And when this came up a few days ago, you know, understanding and knowing what everyone has been going through lately, I just felt like there were a lot of parallels with that experience and with what's going on in the city. Parallels between the job of a youth sports referee and the life of a public servant. Both can be thankless jobs at times. I think we've all experienced that, but both can also be very fulfilling. And I've also been spending a lot of time over the last month or so just reflecting on the 30 years that I've spent in municipal law and the many public servants that I have been privileged to know and to work with over those 3 decades. All of the mayors and the city council members, the city managers, the finance teams, city secretaries and their teams, all the attorneys, and I know I've got some of my attorneys back there. Appreciate y'all being here. Administrative staff, some of my staff is here as well. Appreciate what y'all do because you are truly the ones that make the city world go around without a doubt. Couldn't do any of this without y'all. All the police officers and the firefighters and the civilians that work with them and support them every day, the engineers that design the world, the sanitation workers who are there every day, rain or shine, even on holidays, keep making our city beautiful. The transportation professionals who fix our streets, build our streets, fix the potholes, I know not fast enough because you'll hear that too, fix the traffic lights, take care of the street signs, the award-winning utility workers and our utility folks for giving us the clean water that we get out of our taps, animal control, shelter operators, and those who muck the stalls and feed the dogs and feed the cats, the librarians who instill a love of reading in our youth, our people operations who take care of the people who take care of the city, our code workers who help make and keep our city beautiful, our parks workers who give us beautiful places to play, and our IT department who helps us communicate both with each other and with the city. And I know I'm forgetting some people, and I apologize for that. Again, this was a last minute thing, and unfortunately I didn't have as much time to spend as I wanted. But all of those people I mentioned all have a completely different role, but why do they do it? We know it's hard. We know it's difficult work. We know it's long hours, and we know it's very often unappreciated. Yes, they get paid. Yes, it's their job. They do it because it's their job, but certainly they don't get paid what any of them would get paid in the private sector. No one is going to get rich being a city employee. No one is going to get rich being a council member. So similar to what's happening in youth sports, we're seeing fewer people wanting to enter public service, especially with the more visible roles. But why? So often these days, when the public disagrees with you or disagrees with something you've said or something you've done, the first question asked is, why did you do that? What are you getting out of it? What are you getting out of it? How are you benefiting? So what are you getting out of your time as being a public servant? Unfortunately, getting a mostly disengaged community, except for Alan Lytle, And until there's a trigger issue or a single issue, and then they engage. But too often these days, the engagement that we get is vitriol, hatred, insults, innuendos, and sometimes, unfortunately, outright lies. What are you getting? You're getting often, unfortunately, insulted and verbally assaulted. You're getting second-guessed, part of the job. You're also getting physically threatened. And that's not just council, but that's at every level of city employment. It's not just council. Everyone in my staff has experienced it, from the people who answer the phones, and the people who go downstairs to talk to citizens. It's unfortunately too prevalent. And why would you want to volunteer to be a council member? You know, what are you getting out of it? Who wants to work for the city for less pay, more stress, more visibility, more scrutiny? Just like with youth sports refs, there comes a time when people start asking, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Because public servants are getting tired. I've had this conversation with so many people since I announced my retirement. I'm so tired. You know, take me with you. I wish I could retire. I love my job, but I'm just so tired. Tired of what? The hours aren't different. Their jobs haven't changed. The tasks are the same. What are they tired of? Frankly, tired of being insulted just for doing their jobs. And again, from the ground up to the highest levels, tired of having a media that's goal, unfortunately, too often seems to be to inflame rather to inform. Because remember, it is a business. People who use God as a cover for their attacks, I call it a scripture sandwich. It seems to be you can say whatever you want as long as you start with the scripture, include the insult, lie, whatever it is, and end with a scripture saying, scripture sandwich. I just remember back to, everybody remember the WWJD bracelets, what would Jesus do? I think we need to bring those back, because I feel like there's a lot of people who aren't doing what Jesus would do, at least not the Jesus that I was raised with. We're also tired of people who complain about not being aware, but don't take the time to search out the media, the information on the meetings and the agendas. Of people who claim that council and staff has a personal interest while soliciting grant funds from the very business they're fighting against. People who claim that data centers, or fill in the blank of whatever decision this week they don't like, is destroying our wholesome community while operating questionable businesses from their own homes. And those who take advantage of a smear campaign against a political opponent that they were unable to beat in the last election. I admit it, I'm tired, and I know many of you are tired of so many things, but I want you to know that I see you. I see your heart for service. I see the late hours in the early mornings. I see the disrespect that you face on a daily basis. And I respect you. I respect all of the employees out there. I respect what you do. And I know I am not the only one, and you need to know that I am not the only one, because there are many that do. It's the silent majority. We all know that. And I'm honored to have worked beside you here in Temple for the last 6.5 years, and I'm grateful to have been able to spend 3 decades serving the public. And even though the job of a public servant is more difficult, it can also be more rewarding, because it's trial by fire at some point. And even though it is more difficult, I wouldn't choose any other career. And I'm honored to have served with all of you. And thank you for giving me the chance. And thank you to my staff. And that's it. Thank you.
Kathy, I've never heard you speak like that before, and I appreciate that. I know that's been bottled up for a little bit. And one thing I've learned over time as the mayor is, or on council and working with everyone that we do, is that the city's an organism. It's alive. Every morning it's alive. It never goes to sleep. And to have the honor of serving as the mayor and with these council members and with this top staff is amazing. I've told this story before. Whenever that 350,000-pound pipe rolled off of that truck, and I crested the hill on the way out toward the lake, and to see all those fire trucks and police cars and everyone there, and they'd been there all day. I didn't realize that. And I mean, they'd been there 5 or 6 hours up to that point. And we had firemen literally risking their lives, standing under a 175-ton object, and they're willing to do it. I'm not willing to do it, you know. And so just to know that that the work that this group of people do, day in and day out, it's I feel like this personally, and I think that the council does too. It is my obligation to give back. And I've told people, I've had people before say, Mayor, why do you do this for no money? And it's simple, because the people are worth it and the organism's worth it. $100,000 a year is not enough to serve on the council or to serve as mayor, but I'll do it for free for a while, right? I mean, at some point I step away, right? I don't have to, but we as volunteers are willing to do this because we believe in staff and we believe in the residents of the city of Temple, in who we are, in what we are, and what we will always be. That's Temple. Temple is the people, the firemen that are willing to stand under the pipe all day long. And before they got in position to reposition that pipe back onto the trailer, they had to cut a fire path. I'm sorry, they had to cut an escape path down into a ditch and across a barbed wire fence. The first thing they did was figure out a way to escape if this thing starts moving. I'm not doing that. But the fact that we have people that will stand up, stand in the gap to do that is unbelievable, and I have to support them till the end, and I know that's how this council feels too. So thank you for your work. You guys down there, thank you for your work. Officers, everyone here that's affiliated with the city, thank you for what you do, because you make this place a better place for the people that agree with us and the people that don't agree with us. We're up here doing a job for the community, and this community will be better in the future because of the work that we as a collection do. I'll stand by that till the day I leave Earth.
Amen.
So thank y'all for everything that you do.
Very well said.
And this job is still very fulfilling. Very good. Okay. Next item is, are we on item 7 now? I lost some place. Item 7 is the first reading and a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance authorizing a rezoning request from ag to single-family dwelling on plus or minus 1.65 acres in the city of Temple, Bell County, Texas, appraisal district parcel ID number 101735, addressed as 1756 South Kegley Road. Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So you can see this property, as Mayor stated, is located off of South Kegley Road. It is currently zoned agricultural. The property is just a little over 1.5 acres in size. It's a residential lot currently with a residential home on it. It is unplatted. However, they are requesting to do another single-family residence, so it would need to be platted to allow for 2 of those. This is ag zone, so they're requesting SF1 zoning to allow for that additional residential home. A driveway approach was completed with the construction of South Kegley Road, so that does exist to provide that for the second residence. The 2020 comprehensive plan identifies this area with residential neighborhood services, and this complies with that. Here are some site photos. As you can see, it's a relatively large lot off of that area. There is water and sewer available to this site. We send out notices to everyone within 200 feet, and we receive 0 responses. It does comply with all of our different planning documents. The staff recommends approval of the rezoning from ag to single-family 1. At the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting this week, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval as well with a vote of 8-0. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Council, anything for Ms. Smith? At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item may do so. We just ask you step to the podium, state your name and address for the record. I thought I told you to sit on this side of the room.
He's motoring.
Everybody just stare at Alan as he moves slowly across the room.
When this is brought up at planning, my name is Alan Lytle, I live here in Temple. When this is brought up at planning and zoning, now forgive me, I have forgotten, it's single family. And we're gonna build 2 houses on there, so that's no longer single family. You said they're going to,
They've platted into 2 lots.
they platted it into 2 lots, so they can't start anything until the plat's approved, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now I'll go back to my regular chair.
Good. Don't know where to look for you. Anybody else? Okay. If there's no one else to speak, then, council, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion on item number 7.
Moved. Go ahead, Mike.
I move to approve item 7 as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Pilkington. We have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Walker. Council, please cast your vote. Item 7 passes 5 votes to 0. Moving on to item 8 is the first reading and a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance authorizing a rezoning request from Office 2 to Plan Development Office 2 on 12.154 plus or minus acres in the Hilliard Crossing subdivision, Block 1, Lot 1, City of Temple, Bell County, Texas, addressed as 7083 Members Way. Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this property is a little over 12 acres in size. It is located at the corner of Hilliard Road and Members Parkway. This is a recent redevelopment project where they expanded their ATM facility to include 2 lanes. They are requesting a digital marquee sign that does not quite comply with our UDC standards, and so they've requested a plan development to help. So the proposed sign totals about 256 square feet. According to the UDC, the maximum allowance is 150 square feet. They would be allowed to have multiple signs according to their frontage. They're over 200 feet along the frontage there, so they'll actually just under 650 feet. But according to the code, if you have more than 200 feet of frontage, you're allowed to have 4 sign types and a maximum of 12 individual signs. Right now, they have 1 monument sign and 5 wall signs across their building. 2 of those wall signs are an address and a plaque. So they would be allowed to actually have a little bit more signage, but because it's continuous around the ATM route, then it needs to be counted as a cumulative. So a little bit about the area. As you can see, a lot of the area around here is general retail and commercial zoning, and this is Office 2. This is a little bit of detail, as you can see, of what it looks like and how this will go along the perimeter. The long side around 35 feet, a total of 84.5 square feet, and then on the short side, 43.5 square feet. So here is an exhibit of that, as you can see here. So we would be allowed to allow this with just a sign permit, but because it goes around here at 90-degree angles, we do need to count that collectively. Here are some site photos that you can see here. So that has been constructed, and this will go around there. Here's the existing Texel building. You can see with some of the existing signage that is already on the building, and then the monument sign that they have out front, including the placard. So this area is designated as core mixed use, which typically allows higher density, and this is in compliance with that. As I stated, it's located along Hilliard Road, which is a major arterial. Members Parkway is a local road. So a little bit about the staff analysis. This is a major corner around a major arterial roadway. Their signage is being integrated into that existing canopy structure. It's a very unique architectural condition. So this would allow for some operational wayfinding as it relates to the ATM drive-through. Really, the exceedance primarily results just from a technicality within our code, something that we will likely address as we complete our update. And those circumstances are very unique and tied to that canopy design. So we were requesting a plan development framework to allow for this very specific mechanism for relief in our UDC sign regulations. We sent out public notifications to everyone within 200 feet, and we received 4 responses in agreement, 0 in disagreement. We recommend approval of the rezoning to Plan Development Office 2, development, subject to the following conditions. Development of the property would need to comply with our UDC code. It's in its entirety, with the exception to allow a digital marquee sign that's 250 square feet per the attached site plan, and then they would need to comply with all other sign standards set forth in the UDC. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval at their meeting on May 18th by a vote of 7-0 with 1 abstention, and we recommend approval today. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Council, anything for Ms. Smith? Item 8 is subject to a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak may do so. Just ask you step to the podium and state your name for the record. It's okay, Alan? Okay. Just got to check with our 6th council member over there. Okay, there being none, then I will entertain a motion on item number 8.
I'll make a motion to approve item 8.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Walker. We have a second by Councilmember Emmons. Council, please cast your vote. Item 8 passes 4 votes yes, 0 votes no, and 1 abstention. Thank you all for being here. It is about 6:15. That's the end of our agenda, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.